In 2004, Zack Snyder made Dawn of the Dead. That helped usher in a new age of zombie mania. And then, in 2021, he returned to make a new zombie movie with almost 3 times the budget. It was seen by 72 million viewers in its first week, and unfortunately for them, they witnessed one of the worst zombie movies of all time. Hi, my name is Montgomery, and if you can't tell by looking at this channel, I love me some movies about shambling fellas hungry for brains. Back when this movie was announced, I was oh so excited. I loved the Dawn of the Dead remake and couldn't wait to see Zack Snyder deliver another zombie movie. Army of the Dead is a zombie heist movie set in Vegas where a group of mercenaries have to break into the zombie-infested quarantine zone, crack a high-tech casino vault and escape, all while being chased down by different kinds of zombies, from the slow Romero-esque classic zombies to hulked-out alpha zombies that really make me think this film came from Snyder falling in love with that one buff zombie from Dawn of the Dead. Now, on paper, this movie sounds amazing. Dumb, yes, but so incredibly fun. And the movie is that from the start. Kinda. Let me explain. We already know this movie is going to throw us some curveballs, as from the very start we see a couple UFOs flying out in the distance. Now, will this be revisited later? Certainly not, because if there's one thing Snyder loves to do in this film, it's introduce an interesting concept and refuse to pay it off. In fact, this film has so many bizarre plot threads that are just never mentioned again after being first introduced. I'll do a mini tier list at the end of this video. Back to the film. We actually get a nice bit of character from these military soldiers, as they themselves have no idea what they're transporting and begin to throw out random theories to one another. However, something goes wrong because, well, otherwise we don't have a movie. And a newly married couple who are celebrating quite enthusiastically crash into the truck, creating just an insane explosion. Now, we're literally less than 5 minutes into this film, and we're already experiencing one of the biggest issues in this movie. Everyone, and I mean everyone in this movie, makes the worst decision at every possible moment. So, after our soldiers radio in that the package is exposed, they are told in no uncertain terms to get the fuck out of there numerous times. But do they listen? No. The soldiers get torn apart one by one by the most jacked zombie you'll ever see. Speaking of jacked zombies, I'll start by saying I appreciate the amount of time the team for makeup and costume departments put into the zombie design. It's obvious a lot of care went into crafting a very specific look. That being said, I just kinda hate it. The zombie has some very odd leathery looking skin and feels both too plain and over-designed at the same time, which is kind of impressive in its own right. After our juiced up zombie tears apart the military squad escorting him, he sets his sights on Vegas, and we now enter the best part of the movie. Now, I will say, while I have a mixed relationship with Snyder movies, with them, in my opinion, being stylistically amazing but a bit shallow to just plain bad, I will give Snyder this. He can do a kick-ass intro. Whether it be Watchmen, Dawn of the Dead, or, well, Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder is at his best doing a montage intro with a great song in the background. Honestly, if the whole movie was just slow-mo shots of various people killing or being killed by zombies, I think this would be a much better movie. It's during this intro we see how Vegas fell, and we're introduced to each of our main characters, and I really enjoy the brief shots we see of them standing in front of a curtain backdrop and holding photos of themselves with their families pre-outbreak. I think this is stylistically interesting, creative, and just cool, and it annoys me that a single part of this movie can be so cool and the rest be so bleh. Another issue being some of the bizarre choices in the story used by the US military. What general decides to drop soldiers into an area infested with zombies via parachutes that they are unable to steer? A special shout out also goes to that one machine gun shot, which may just be the best machine gun scene I've ever seen in the movie. That thing just eviscerates zombies and it's awesome. I do also find the method for containing these zombies hilarious as well, because explain to me how in God's name they were able to slowly construct a wall out of shipping containers when the zombies are this close to the wall itself. Make it make sense, Snyder, please. Also, the ending shot of the mother being crushed feels unintentionally hilarious. Like, this feels like some Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner shenanigans. Now, after that dumb but fun as hell intro, we catch up with Dave Bautista's character a few years later, and yes, I know he has a name, but there's such little character in this film that it's basically just Dave Bautista. I do appreciate they gave him some tiny little glasses, as I truly do believe that elevates any role he plays. Batista is working as a burger cook just outside of Vegas and is approached by a man who owns one of the casinos in the now infested Vegas. He gives him a simple proposition: sneak into Vegas, past the military blockade, and break into the vault to recover his money. Why is he asking a group of mercenaries to break into a vault that he presumably has the combination for? Let's not think about it, because the people who wrote this script didn't. Batista is told that he needs to assemble a team, and we see just that. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, now we have the B-plot of the movie following Batista's daughter, played by Ella Purnell, which is funny because this won't be the last time we see her in a post-apocalyptic Vegas. But yes, instead of jumping into the heist that the film's logline would suggest, we're introduced to a B-plot where the American government is using the zombie virus as an excuse to round up illegal immigrants and political activists into internment camps, which, while scarily ahead of its time, given what's happening in America now, feels incredibly out of place in the film. The film doesn't really do anything with this other than making the sadly controversial point that internment camps are bad, and doesn't really come back to this until the literal last 10 minutes of the film. The shift is so jarring, this would be the equivalent of watching Ocean's 11 and seeing George Clooney's character meet up with Brad Pitt, and instead of assembling the team, we meet Clooney's daughter, who is just a freedom fighter in the Philippines. When we get back to the actual heist part of the film and assembling the crew, this is once again where the film comes alive again. And there's a great little bit I really enjoy where with each person they meet, they are offering less and less money, and I actually really like this. This whole sequence I think is just really fun. This is also where we meet one of the characters that requires a little bit of explaining. So when the film was first announced, for the role of Peters, it was going to be played by human scumbag Chris D'Elia, who was accused by multiple women of sexual misconduct, grooming, and various other despicable things, with some of the people who spoke up being as young as 16. There's even footage from a podcast where you can see Chris realise his career is over. Good riddance. While going back to the movie, these allegations surfaced after filming had finished, and the decision was made to digitally remove him from the film, costing the studio millions, and I genuinely applaud this decision. His role was replaced by Tig Notaro, who shot all of her scenes in isolation due to COVID. I'm always supportive of removing predators from films. This does cause the issue with this film, as Notaro, while doing her best, doesn't have any chemistry with the cast, as she didn't meet them until the premiere. There's even a handful of scenes where you can see some pretty blatant ADR done in post. I do think a standout performance in this film is Matthias Schweighöfer, who plays a safecracker, and apparently Snyder agrees with me on this, as they made a whole-ass prequel film about him with no zombies to be seen. Odd choice, but go off, I guess. The film as well just has some incredibly clunky dialogue throughout, where it feels like the actors were given the sides of the script 5 minutes before shooting. I also cannot, for the life of me, decide if I like how this film looks or not. If I can give Snyder one thing, he sure can shoot cinematic looking shots that look pretty amazing as a poster in a college dorm, but so much of this film is shot in such a way I feel like I lost my glasses whilst watching the film. Now, this shallow, depth of field, greasy lens look was an intended look they wanted for the film, with the production sourcing vintage lenses, but the film just has this ugly, blurry, overexposed look, and I mean, there's an entire sequence that genuinely feels like it was ripped straight from a 2009 pre-rendered video game trailer from a PS3 exclusive back in the dark era of gaming, where everything had a green and brown piss filter on it. We also have another pointless moment in the film where we take a whole 5 minutes to focus on a cement saw scene being used by one of the characters in the beginning of the film, and I kid you not when I say this cement saw is not used to kill a single zombie in the film after the opening. In fact, its only use is not even by the guy who owns it, and to add insult to injury, when it is used, it's used for its intended purpose. This genuinely might be the only zombie movie I've ever seen where a power tool is used for its original purpose. The film is also so incredibly slow. I've previously criticized Dawn of the Dead for skipping big chunks of time to get right into the main part of the plot, and I may just take all of that criticism back because this film just drags. It isn't until almost an hour into the film they finally enter into Vegas, and here we have another moment in the film that just baffles me. I honestly think this may be the biggest offender of the film introducing an element that it proceeds to just never pay off. When the group enters into Vegas, we are warned about a group of zombies near the entrance that have been dried out by the desert sun. and they are essentially catatonic and harmless. That is, until it rains. We're even warned about this by one of the characters. You could not have this more of a Chekhov's gun unless Snyder himself walked into your room with a .44 Magnum and pointed it at you. So what does this movie do with this? Nothing. When watching this film for the first time, I was expecting some grand, amazing finale where we'd see these characters running for the exit as the rain began to pour. This movie, with its almost 3-hour runtime, could not be bothered to pick up this plot thread that it sets up. So at this point, we have the entire bank heist going to Vegas, plus some additional shit. Mr. Mohawk from Sons of Anarchy, who's basically just there to show authoritarianism is bad, and gets sacrificed by a lady called the Wolf, who is only in the film to give a reason for Batista's daughter to be tagging along as she's trying to track down one of the detainees who were in the camp, who snuck in before to steal some money. I know this is a subplot I probably should have brought up earlier, but to be honest with you, this film basically forgets about this until the last 5 minutes, so I just figured I'd do the same. We also have a secret Black Ops type character who's being employed by the casino boss himself. And that boss is also being employed by the US military, and I don't know, none of this makes sense. Why is the US military government working with a casino boss? Why wouldn't they just go in themselves with their own soldiers if they really wanted to? None of this film makes sense. One of the more interesting parts of the movie that I genuinely will give some praise to in this hate letter of a video I'm making comes from the zombie society we see. We have the Alpha, which is the original zombie from the beginning, and I'm still not a fan of design. I do like the metal mask he wears that prevents headshots, and the zombie queen being a Vegas showgirl is a cool touch that adds to the world. Plus, I mean, how can you not love that zombie tiger? Also, real quick, if you are enjoying yourself here, why not consider becoming a member? We have a bunch of cool bonuses for our members, from deciding on what films we cover next, and we also offer discounts on cool horror merch, but more on that later. I'll actually go out on a limb here and say that I genuinely think zombie societies are a somewhat underexplored niche within the zombie genre, and is one of the few things this film has going for it that makes it kind of interesting. Additionally, if you want a recommendation for some zombie media that does this the best, in my opinion, check out an audio drama called We're Alive. It's pretty fun. After this, the group has to get to the main casino because remember, this is a heist film. They are sneaking past a group of hibernating zombies, but these aren't the dried out kind, these are just the sleepy kind, I guess. During this, our Black Ops fella kills one of the C-list characters in the group because she doesn't trust him, all while putting the whole mission at risk, so yeah, great work, fella. And she proceeds to die in an incredibly drawn out and arguably avoidable death, as she definitely could have been saved at some point there. This is another point that drives me insane in this movie. So, okay, assuming you've seen literally any other movie, you are aware of the concept of setup and payoff. So surely the scene would work better if instead of these zombies being another group of nocturnal zombies, they were instead the dried out, crusty zombies we saw earlier, and instead of being woken up by just a loud noise, Agent Black Ops guys activates them with a sprinkler system. I'm not saying this is perfect, but at least it would pay something off in this movie. When the group finally make it into the casino, they all split up, with our non-sex offending pilot going to the roof, and the rest of the crew heading down to the vault. This is again, I know I'm getting tired of saying this as you are of hearing it, we have the film set up some random shit and just not pay it off. While in the vault, a member of the group gets weird, they find a group of bodies in the vault that's wearing the same clothing and jewelry as the members of the heist. One of the character goes on a whole speech about how it's really them, and they're doomed to repeat this journey over and over again, much like I was doomed to watch this movie over and over again for this video. This, of course, goes without me saying, is never paid off. After this bizarre moment, we find out the launch date for the nuke blowing up Vegas has been moved up, and the crew only have 90 minutes to finish the heist. And you'd think this would add a little pep in their step for the crew, as you know, they don't want to be Linda Hamilton, but it does not. Especially after they open the vault, it takes some sweet time to just celebrate by throwing money around in slow-mo. During this, we find out the real reason Mr. Black Ops is here with them. The secret plan all along was to get the head of the Queen so that the US government could use it as some kind of bioweapon, I guess. So, why do this under the guise of a bank heist? Why do it so close to the plans to blow up Vegas? I mean, the US government are involved with the plans to blow up Vegas, and to get this, why can't they just work together? I can't with this movie. So of course, seeing his zombie bride get Anne Boleyn really angers the alpha zombie, so he's just fully out for blood. I mean, more than a zombie is normally, I guess. And Mr. Black Ops, unsurprisingly, betrays them all. Batista's daughter also runs off at this point because, of course she does, looking for the detainee you, me, and the film forgot about earlier, because we need more tension, and a nuke, a bank heist, zombies, and a member of the team betraying everyone just didn't do it for this film. We then proceed to see most of the team become variations of zombie chow or kebab. In one case, one member of the crew is pushed into the vault to save him from the incoming horde. And for the final time, it is during the third act of the film that we have the greatest example of blink and you'll miss it bullshit that shows that some of the zombies are robots. Yep, even though we are clearly shown at the beginning of the film the infection, these are robot zombies. I'm fully convinced that this was just put in during the edit to fuck with me, because what possible reason does this make any sense for any kind of story or narrative themes? Deep breaths. Deep breath. Anywho, Batista makes it to the roof where our digitally replaced pilot is waiting and takes him to the casino where he rescues his daughter and that random woman who we all keep forgetting about. During the climactic escape, Batista kills the alpha, but not before he gets bitten and shoots the pilot, which, hey, maybe this was the one scene where you should have left in the original. Nuclear blast knocks the helicopter out of the air and everyone dies. Okay, not everyone. Batista survives, but obviously he's turning into a zombie. He gives his daughter some of the cash he was able to hold on to from the heist so she can start a new life, and everyone's favourite vault dweller has to give him one right between the eyes. She's now alone as she waits for a helicopter to rescue her, and the film ends. Wait, what? There's not more? Okay, fine, yeah, one of the crew has survived, an actual vault dweller from this film, and he emerges with a crap ton of cash. And we get an incredibly long sequence of him leaving Vegas, finding a car, buying a private jet, celebrating his win, and as this goes on, he goes into the bathroom to reveal a zombie bite. Why did it take so long for him to turn? When it's been shown multiple times, when a zombie bites you, you turn in less than an hour? Who cares? The film's over. We're done. So, with all that said, let's rank the most egregious plot threads this film leaves hanging, starting from least to most. In our D tier, we have the UFOs. It's a real blink and you miss it Easter egg, and it sort of just has that energy. It does happen above Area 51, so I think this is actually okay. In C tier, we have the time travel mentioned. This was just strange, man. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe this was meant to show that Chainsaw Man was going a bit crazy, but honestly, your guess is as good as mine, because this movie does not deserve any more time theorizing about it than the time that is already stolen from me. B tier, we have the crusty, dried up zombies. This to me just reeks of something that was left in a previous draft of the script and was never taken out. It is such a clear setup and ideally a payoff that just never comes. And finally, in A tier, those fucking robot zombies. Let me just explain something. I love zombies, truthfully. I've made like 6 videos on this channel explaining that. And when this film was announced, I was hyped, man. I loved the Dawn of the Dead remake, and when this was announced, I was on board. This had the second highest budget of any zombie film, just after World War Z, which is a whole other video on its own. So when I sat down to watch this, the day it came out, and the worse and worse this film got, just for the third act randomly throwing robot zombies and not have it mean anything, that was my breaking point. I then later find out, hey, don't worry, this will be explained in an animated sequel, which has now been cancelled. So now I'm left with a zombie movie that has robots for no good reason. I wanted to like this film, but I've never watched a film so poorly paced, so poorly structured, and so lacking any kind of depth. I just had to make this video. Look, I like Zack Snyder, and look, I'm a big film buff and zombie buff, but this film is truthfully the worst zombie film I've ever fucking seen. Do you like zombies? I really hope so if you made it this far into this video. Let me know down below what your favourite zombie movie is. And hey, if you want to support me going through this kind of hell, consider becoming a member where you can have future input on videos and participate in members only polls and get exclusive goodies. At the moment, our members have a discount code for Screen 13. They do cool badges like this. It's a shop that sells, horror-themed badges. We don't get anything from your purchase with Screen 13. We just want to support a small business run by a horror-loving couple like me and Emily. So if you want to get 15% off some amazing patches, become a bloody good member, and you can get the code which expires at the end of August. And a truthfully special shout out to our current members, Rome the Hero, Phantom Crow, MTSD, and Cardboard Boxer. We really appreciate your support. It truly goes a long way, both financially and having people believe in us. We really do appreciate it. And hey, whilst you're here, why not check out some of our other videos? If you want to see a good zombie movie, we did something on Little Monsters. And if you like how zombie movies are made, we did a whole video on how Shaun of the Dead was almost bankrupt from the very beginning. In the meantime, I've been Montgomery. It's been bloody good. It's been 35 degrees whilst I've been recording this. Thanks for watching.